Go. All right.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last installment of the Spring LaunchPad Associate Workshop Series. We are very excited to have the one and only Jeffrey Brothers of the Crossings at Carlsbad on this afternoon, going over facility management. Jeffrey has presented on this topic several times before, and he is definitely an expert on the topic. Jeffrey, thank you very much for being on the LaunchPad webinar.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So we got a quite a big I guess piece to take a bite out of today, and that's the business planning. And I think most of you have been to level one, and predominantly 3 days of level one seminars are the business planning model. The other 2 days being teaching and coaching, and so it's going to be a little bit coming at you like a fire hose, but I do have some extra time after the presentation. The goal is to keep it within an hour. It might run a little bit later, and I apologize if it does. It's just want to make sure that we get all the information out there. And if you have any questions afterwards, please ask away. And the way we've done it before, so there's 5 stages of the business planning model for the PGA. And as you know, there's 5 different assignments that coincide with each stage of the model. So today we're going to go through 1 through 5 in the business planning model. And then once we're done, we'll bring up the associated assignment and then kind of show how, answer the why. The why is why or how does this information relate to the assignment that we're working on? And so why is business planning important? There's financial goals. We have service goals, new trends in the industry, customer satisfaction, employee engagement, and investors. If most of you, working in the industry now, are going to notice, really pandemic, I don't think there's anything been better for our industry at the moment. A couple of years ago, I completed my master's in business and a capstone project around the golf industry, and probably could have avoided all that research and just wrote pandemic on the paper and submitted it and might have got an A. But as you know, right now, our business is booming and it's growing. And so really it's important to have the business evolve to the point where we're going to keep capturing the market that we're capturing right now. So phase 1 is defining the business. So how do we define the business? I'm going to try to stand up here. I'm in my wife's office. That's why it's all floral and pink. So we got to define the business is why are we here? What are the customer expectations? Who are the customers? Who's coming to us right now? We see this surge in the industry, but where are all these clientele coming from? Eventually when we get back to a somewhat, we'll say, normal, how do we capitalize on getting these new customers that are coming already? What drives us? Why do we exist as a business? Are we a private course? Are we a public course? Are we a practice facility? Are we a teaching facility? How do we make money? What do we offer as a facility that's going to make us hit the top line and the bottom line at the end of the day? Facility description. Once again, what do we offer? We have our core offerings, which are going to be the golf, probably the lessons, the maybe development programs. Another offering, maybe our core offering is food and beverage. We do weddings, we do banquets. What do we offer as a property? And then defining business as well as looking at a market analysis, geographic location, who are the customers and competition, who's competing for our slice of the pie. We have a pro shop and we're fully stocked. If a PGA warehouse opens up down the street, well, we're going to have to think about what are we offering or how are we going to compete with this, this big box store. It also ties into vision, mission, and values. And so vision and mission statement, I got the page numbers there, page 34 and 44. And a vision is aspirational. Where do we want to be? We want to be the leading golf course in Southern California, or we want to be the leading private course in the Pacific Northwest. Where do we want to be? And the mission is, how do we get there? What are we going to do to achieve the vision? So the vision is, here's where we're going. You know, we're in a car, we're driving to Las Vegas. The mission is, how are we going to get there? We're going to take such and such a road. Should be concise, believable, realistic, relevant, and evolving. So by saying this, you want to have a vision and a mission that employees can remember. So when you're writing your vision and mission statement for your assignments, you don't want to write something that's elongated, that has all this fluffy language and because you're going to ask, your colleagues and employees, well, what's the vision? And if no one can remember it, well, it's not going to really have an impact into the operation. But if you do have a vision and a mission that are concise, and your employees and your colleagues can embrace it, well, it's going to make a bigger impact to the operation. And then it comes down to values and business core beliefs. So all of these kind of start with they start with like a pyramid. So you got your values and core beliefs, and come up, to your mission, and then your vision, the pinnacle. And really those guide decision making and define culture. What are your core beliefs? We're going to be empathetic. We're going to be courageous. We're going to be, it's these motivational words that define how the employees are going to behave on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual spectrum. And also tied in, so we tie in further, going down the rabbit hole here. We got strategic planning and goals. Long-term goals are usually 3 to 5 years, and they support the business plan. And the short-term goal is usually about a year, not very much longer than that. And those short-term goals, they're business objectives. They evolve in budgets and forecasts. And really, the goal of the short-term goal is to facilitate the current state, the 1-year need of the business. When those get added up together, and then they work into the 3 and 5 year goals. And goals really can be, how do you define them? Weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, annually. Goals can be as micro or macro as you want, as long as they're facilitating the needs of the operation and the strategic goals, and then they support the mission and they support the vision. That's where everything starts cascading downwards. Demographics are an important part of defining the business. Who are our customers? Where do they live? How old are they? How much money do they make? Is there any race or gender, that are our customers? And if you look at the seminar notes for the facility management from the seminars themselves, slide 8 has a broader kind of spectrum of what your demographics could be. I'll give you an example. For instance, working at the Crossings at Carlsbad, we're a city-owned course, and our Carlsbad seniors can play for $52 Monday through Thursday. Who do you think our biggest demographics are Monday through Thursday in the morning? Right, they're the Carlsbad plus 60. That's who our biggest market is. So we're going to recap of phase 1. So we got a vision statement. Vision, once again, big picture, aspirational. It's where we want to be. Mission statement, how we're going to get there. We're going to be the leading private golf course of Palm Springs by providing sincere, engaging service, unmatched course conditions, and we're going to be responsible to our shareholders. That's how we're going to achieve our I know I just made that up. So the core values is what drives us as a business. How are we as a business and all our employees going to behave? And we also, you get the detailed facility description, core business areas. Where are we going to make money? Where are we going to drive the top? Market analysis, who are we catering to? Private course, we're catering to probably 99% local residents. 1% maybe you have some local residents. Public course, most likely countywide is going to be your client. And that's kind of the recap of phase 1. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get out of this. So we're going to go back here. And I'm going to bring up activity 1. Oh, not that one. I'm going to bring up this one. There we go. I'm going to bring it. Oh, where did that get in there? Sorry for this. There we are. Business plan and activity 1. So activity 1, it's define the business. So when you're working on this, you have your syllabus, which shows you all the items, that are going to be evaluated. I picked Summit Valley Country Club. So I wanted to work on the private course, and you see some of the core values that I picked: welcoming, pride, passion, customer focus, innovative. So your core values, when you're obviously your entire business planning project 1 through 5, whether you pick Summit Valley or the public course, and forgive me, I forget the name at the moment. It's been a little while since I've done it, but make sure that all of your phases of the business plan are going to support each other no matter which course that you pick or you choose. The vision statement was to be the leading private country club in the United States, providing memorable golf and leisure experiences. I personally picked this because there's a pool, there was a banquet facility. I read in the kind of notes that a lot of families were moving to the area. And so this is, what I thought of for my vision statement. Your vision statement could be, more broader or more detailed, but has to be aspirational for the property itself. The facility profile, you'll find in the case study. All those, you want to get your rounds, your different numbers, your demographics, you pull all that out of your case study. And I believe these were in the Midwest, was it, or South Midwest? So it was around, we're thinking like Phoenix, Arizona kind of thing, desert climate, sunny year round, and economic conditions. This was last January. I started this, or last February, I think it was only a year and a couple of months ago. So obviously, pandemic hadn't quite gotten into, full effect. So this is probably going to evolve. Those of you on the call, the current state of business when you look at it as a whole, but also when you look at it in the case study as well. Your direct competition, indirect, your assets, physical. Your assets are, your big ticket items. So you want to look at that. What do you have? What do you have as a whole that's going to generate money? Your amenities are what you offer. What do we offer out of this clubhouse? What do we offer from this golf course? And then our market and customer competition. And so then when you're moving down, you look at the mission statement. So I had a mission statement. I said Summit Valley Country Club will deliver the ultimate private golf club experience for members and guests by providing sincere, personalized service, creating a welcoming, inclusive community, and enhancing loyalty through memorable golf experiences. And so really, if I asked a colleague or an employee to remember that, they're probably going to remember it. It's clear, concise, and there's not too much, foo-foo in there. It's to the point and tell us how we're going to achieve a vision. And then just some of the other items here, you get within the case study and the reading material. And obviously, I'm not going to give the whole assignment away there, but there's some ideas around how you could structure your assignment. So phase two, we got to assess the current state of the business. And so we want to look at data analysis. Data, there's quantitative and qualitative, pages 47 and 50 in the reading material that was, that you printed out or you have on your computer or tablet. So quantitative is always expressed in numbers, percentages, and hard data. So the number of rounds, the breakdown of demographic, the revenue, how much money per round, how much, do you make from lessons? What's your revenue and what's your profit? You might make a lot of revenue, but if you got a lot of expenses, you don't make a lot of profit. All those numbers you find in the budget and the balance sheet, those are all quantitative numbers. Qualitative is expressed in written or verbal form. So customer surveys, customer feedback, all of those, the Yelp reviews, the Indeed reviews, all these things, these are all qualitative. You can read them or they're verbal. You can't calculate anything from them. So from all this data, you got 47 of 54, looking at doing a SWOT analysis. SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. So we can capitalize on them. We can control them. We can somehow impact them. We can look at our strengths and say, how can we get stronger? Or we can look at our weaknesses and how can we improve? External would be opportunities and threats. Opportunities are, well, what's happening that we could capitalize on? What's going on in the market? There's a pandemic, everyone's golfing. How do we get a market share? Threats are, well, we got this beautiful golf course, but holy cow, there's a new golf course opening like 2 miles down the road. How are we going to compete against this business? So that's a threat to our business. Or once again, if you have a well-stocked pro shop and the big box, merchandise store that's tailored towards golf opens down the street, that's a threat. But then we can look at an opportunity and say, okay, well, what can we do to ensure that we're not going to lose a lot of clients to this big box store? So threats can be turned into opportunities, but threats and opportunities you can't really control. You can help mitigate them. You can plan to kind of take away from what impact they might have to the operation, but strengths and weaknesses are internal, and you can plan and you can capitalize and you can implement strategic planning to impact them. And what a SWOT analysis does, it assists as a starting point for developing new goals and objectives and strategies on how to achieve them. We speak about internal strengths and weaknesses. Strengths are what the business offers or does better than the competition. Do we have the best greens in, Carlsbad? Do we have the most friendly employees? Do we have a great service program? Do we have a great chef with food and beverage program? It's items that we have control over. Weaknesses, we're experiencing challenges or falling short. We have control over as well. Oh, well, we got a big increase in business, but we don't have enough golf carts. What are we going to do? Are we going to rent them? Or are we just going to have people walk? How are we going to mitigate this weakness? Opportunities, where can the business excel? How can it enhance its offerings? How can it capitalize on opportunities? Maybe we got this beautiful banquet facility at the golf course, and it's great for member events, but we realize, hey, we can fill it with external events. We can make some money out of here. It's just sitting there, not making any money. The opportunity, let's start doing banquets in there. Threats are, what are the competition and what are they doing? You can't really control it, but you can mitigate them. You're never going to stop the competition, but it just keeps you on your toes to be one step up over the competition. Recap of phase 2. We're going to analyze, quantitative and qualitative data. And by analyzing that, it's going to, help you create a SWOT analysis based on your observations. And now let's look at phase 2 here. And if I go to business planning activity 2, there we are. Okay. So phase 2, we're looking at our SWOT analysis. We're assessing the current state of the business. We're going to make an assessment. Where do we sit? So you're going to look at the financial performance, all in the case study. You want to look at how much money you made, how much rounds that you put through to make that money. Are you capitalizing on the T sheet? What increased in revenue? What decreased in revenue? When we move on, you're going to look at your trend analysis. Are you making money over the years? Or are you losing money over the years? Are you making money in relation to sales? Or are you losing money in relation to sales? You look at areas of opportunity. Here's SWOT analysis. So strengths. For myself, I looked at tournament rounds. I looked at the golf cart fleet that there was mandatory in tournaments, so we knew we were going to make extra money. Cost of goods sold was good. The teaching business was good. We had opportunity for player development. Increasing social memberships. And I believe the social memberships were bringing in more revenue. Also, the family memberships were bringing in more initiation fees. Weaknesses, once again, depending on which case study you look at basically your you're going to look at your budget analysis there. We saw that member rounds were decreasing. And, in this case, only had 50 carts, was enough to facilitate large tournaments. So I believe in the case study we had to rent carts. So actually now we're paying money to make money, but the percentage that we're making, is it worth it? And some other items there, revenue decreases. So it's items that were happening and that we have a little bit of control over. External factors, look at different items that are happening. There's some great info in this particular case study, talking about manufacturing plants and new residential communities being built nearby. So a lot of opportunities to capitalize. And obviously you got all your different items on the left that you can look at, and that's your factors that are impacting the SWOT analysis. And then you got your threats. Threats are items we can't control. What if the housing market balloons and becomes unaffordable? People are probably not going to pay your initiation fee. And there's some other items. Not, like I said, my assignments were done more particularly around the Summit, country club in the case study. And on to phase 3. So phase 3 is develop business goals, objectives, and related strategies. So in the reading material, you're going to find this in pages 55 to 64. And once again, coming back to the first phase there, the goals: long-term, 3 to 5 years; short-term, 1 year or less; operations, 1 year. So as you can see, we assess the current state, and then we're going to look at where we are. And now we got to start developing goals. What are we going to do once we develop all this vision, mission? Okay, we got an idea where we want to be and how we're going to get there. Here's where we are right now. Okay, here's what we need to do. This is where the pedal, the tire, or say the rubber hits the road, I guess we could say. You're going to see this a lot in your might be an exam question, so you might want to keep that SMART goals in mind. So specific, meaningful, achievable, realistic, and time orientated. So any goals you're setting, clearly stated. We want to make $100,000 more dollars, in green fees, daily green fees. You want to make sure that's achievable. If 100,000 is 10% of my revenue, that's kind of achievable, realistic. Time orientated. Is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 6 months? It has to be measurable. So time orientated is measurable. Realistic, can we achieve it? Just say we're an operation making $5 million a year, and I said, all right, we want to make $3 more million next year. Probably not going to happen. They got to be, achievable, realistic. If I always said I want to make 3 million over the next extra over the next 4 years, that might be a little more realistic and time orientated. So when you're making those goals, make sure, once again, I say this similar to Raphael when he's doing teaching and coaching, keep repeating. SMART's going to follow you through the entire assignment when you're doing it, and probably going to see it on the exam as well. So objectives, answer the questions, how are we going to achieve these goals? So the goal is we want to increase our top line in player development by $15,000 in year 5. The objectives, how are we going to increase by 15,000? We're going to implement a player development program. We're going to hire a new instructor who's going to write new teaching programs. We want to increase our driving range revenue by 20,000 in year 6. How are we going to do that? We're going to implement a top tracer, computer system into 4 of the stalls, and we're going to sell that for a certain price, and we want to have this many customers come in. And so the objectives are usually annual or by fiscal year end. So whatever your annual will be, whether that's January to December, or whether that's, March to February. So it's going to be fiscal year end that those goals that you set, you're going to want to achieve. Strategies answer the question of how are we going to achieve the annual objectives that support the long-term goals? Are they financial? Are they going to be operational? Are they going to be promotional? So those are the 3 strategies that are going to follow you through this assignment. Is it going to impact, revenue? Is it going to impact income or expenses to the facility? Are we going to have to pay more to get this? Are we going to incur a long-term expense or rent to get this? Operational, do we have to change the way we're doing our daily operations or facilitating our daily operations? Or is it promotional? Do we need to get a marketing manager in here? Or do we need to pay a marketing organization to get this information out to the market? Do we need a social media program? So strategies support the objectives that support the goals. Recap of phase 3. So we got to create meaningful goals that support the business's vision. And then they support the goals with annual objectives. And then the objectives are achieved through strategies that either are financial, operational, or promotional. And then that would bring us to assignment 3. So assignment 3, we got to develop the objectives and related strategies. And this one, there's 4 specific objectives that will help improve the business in the upcoming year. And once again, you see that in the big bold blue. They got to be SMART. And so the ones that you pick in here, you want to make sure these are ones that you're passionate about, because these are the ones also that are going to hit the budget in the 4th, in the business planning activity 4. It's going to be in the budget that you're going to have to really justify how you're going to hit all these numbers. So you're saying it here, you got strategy. We're going to offer financing options for potential new members. And, the objective was convert 15 social memberships to full equity memberships. And social to equity, you can see the big impact. You're bringing in another $25,220 if you do that. And, we're going to create new membership categories, including under 40, young professional membership, corporate equity membership. And these are promotional and financial, both of them. So we're going to have to create a financing plan. So it's going to probably impact our revenue in the overall. We're not going to get that big chunk of initiation, but over the longevity, all that's going to fall into place financially. Promotional is we got to get the word out that we're doing this. And then the tournament revenue objective. So I picked, membership. I picked tournaments. I picked merchandise. Want to increase member tournament rounds by 8% by fiscal year end. The increase of 159 rounds and 5,565 in revenue. So it's specific. Here's how much we're going to make. It has a time frame to it. It's realistic. It has all the smart components to it. And how we're going to do, we're going to introduce more mixed family and junior tournaments. And we're going to create a master calendar containing all the tournament event dates accessible to members. This way they have ample advanced notice of events. That one's operational. The first one is promotional and financial again. Merchandise objective, similar story. You're going to get your strategies. You need 2 strategies and determine whether those are financial, operational, or promotional. And then the last one I picked, I saw an opportunity in my SWOT analysis. See how all of a sudden activity 2 tied into activity 3, which you'll see in activity 4. I wanted to increase player development revenue by 12,000 by fiscal year end. How we're going to do it? We're going to develop and introduce a Get Golf Ready program. Didn't have one at that facility. Going to create group lesson programs and include a social aspect to them. Probably not such a good idea now because the social aspect, but before a pandemic here, it was a pretty good idea. But eventually, we'll get through it and it'll be a good idea again. And both those are promotional and operational. No impact really to do this is just get our teaching pros to start, developing some lessons and let's get it out there. And this is just, it would be your own personal analysis. So based on a selected case study, whichever one you pick, to describe your target customers, their customer relations, and all the strategy to get the service relationships. And then you're going to look at, the PGA customer relations model, which you'll find in the reading material, staffing systems, and resources. And then you're going to, once again, you set the goals within each of those, and that's going to help complete the assignment. Budgets is pretty straightforward. You're going to look at your numbers from your SWOT analysis that you picked, what you're going to drive. Okay, from my SWOT, here's where I'm doing really well. Here's where I have opportunity. Okay, when I take this opportunity, I'm going to move it over to my business planning. Activity 3, here's going to be the goals for the year. Here's how I'm going to achieve them. Here's the money we're going to spend, or here's the promotion we're going to do. And that is assignment number 3. Okay, let's go to phase 4. Oh, for some reason, it keeps going back to 1. Here we go. So this is where this starts all tie together. So those of you who are in leadership or have the opportunity to write budgets or be part of the budget writing process. So we, vision, mission, values. Here's our goals. Here's where we are. Here's where we want to be. All right, well, what's it going to take to get there from where we are now? That's where, how much are we going to spend? How much are we going to make? What does it look like? Are we losing money from year to year? Are we increasing money from year to year? How do we stop the bleeding if we're losing money? So that's preparing the financial forecasts and budgets, page 65 to 92 in the reading. We got some key metrics to look at. These are just a few of them, but you'll find them in the reading material in phase 4 of the business planning section. It's, the rounds versus yield. So our tee sheet, just say, I don't know, I know, for instance, my tee sheet at the crossing starts at 6:18 every morning, and it runs to 5:34 at night. Right now, during the weekdays, we're anywhere between 240 to 250 plus. Usually Thursday, Friday. For some reason, we get up to 270, 280. And I know that we're utilizing the T sheet anywhere from 85 to 92%, 93%, which is kind of crazy. But our rounds, are we utilizing the T sheet? Are we pairing up two twosomes to make a foursome? Are we utilizing really are we getting the maximum of yield of the T sheet spaces that we have? Revenues, how much money are we making? Are we maximizing our revenue? Are we leaving money on the table? Let's have a look at this balance sheet and see if we're losing money or have an opportunity. Maybe we got all this demand. Maybe we can pop up the rates $2 or $3 and make a bit more, help cover some more expenses and leave a little bit in the bank for that rainy day, just in case. Cost of goods sold. Are we maximizing revenue from the sales? Are we buying the right merchandise? Do we have to? Are we? What happens every month there? We're turning over merchandise, but we got to put 2/3 of it out on the sale rack for 20, 30, 40% off because no one's buying it. So are we maximizing the revenue from the sales? Gross margin. Gross margin is the profit from the sale. So you got revenue. Revenue is top line. Profits after you pay the bills. Everything in the middle is called managing the middle. So in order to make the most amount of profit, there's kind of only really two ways to do it. Either you make more money and you spend less, or you make more money and you spend the same as you spent before. But if you make more and spend more, a lot of times you're not going to make more profit. So there's only really two ways to increase the profit margin: is make more, spend less, make more, spend the same. And that's how you get more profit. Metrics, how do we measure? So we measure by net operating income. It's income, what's left over after you pay the bills, the cost of goods sold, the operating expenses. Operating expenses are that day-to-day. And vertical analysis, you look at comparison of two values for the same fiscal year. Cost of goods sold versus total revenue. What's our cost of goods sold in a percent of how much revenue we're making? Is it 70%? Is it 40%? Is it 50%? Are we maximizing the amount of revenue we can make based on our cost of goods sold? And we got the horizontal analysis. Really, it's going to focus on one item and stretch it across. So let's look at our rounds for year one. Are we increasing in year two? Are we increasing in three? Increasing in four? And then you'll see the linear trend analysis, percentage up and down from a particular year, right? You add up all those numbers, and then you divide by the number of years, right? And that gives you your linear trend analysis. Base year analysis. For those of us here in the industry over the last year, I always joke with my GM and director of golf, it's going to be tough to run a budget next year because it's been a heck of a year for the golf industry. So you're probably going to say that year 2021, we call it a base year analysis. You probably don't want to write next year's budget based on it. You're probably going to want it based on 2019 and then a little bit of 2020. But if you're into 2021 and you're like, all right, I think this is going to keep going and going and going. If a lot of your annual incentives are tied into your budgets that you're writing based on a benchmark year, you might be disappointed the following year. So that's a base year analysis. Another example would be the if you had any major projects that happen in a year. You might have built a new facility for your maintenance team, and then you're looking, that's going to hit the budget in a big way. So maybe you don't want to look at what kind of happened that year when the next year you're going to plan forward. Some other metrics: cost of goods sold as a percentage of sales. Are your costs increasing or decreasing? Cost of goods sold as a percentage of gross margin. Are you making more or less money for the volume or product you sell? Are you revenue per round? Are you making the most amount of revenue per round? So I'll give you an example. Our Carlsbad senior residents pay $52 Monday through Thursday. But what if we got Southern California residents that were part of our loyalty program? They'd be paying $82. That's 30 extra dollars per player. And if you did that over the course of even 30 players over 4 days, 30 by 30 is 900 to $3,600 over 4 days of extra revenue. Are you maximizing your revenue? Sometimes it's just part of the business. You gotta, you make your 52 and then you're good. So then you got some assumptions. So when you're forecasting, your business changes based on internal and external factors. You got internal, the facility characteristics, the customer service, the merchandise offerings, the financial resources, the staff or employee resources. External, when you're doing your forecasting, is the market, is the customers, competition, vendors, who are you using? National product trends, regulatory trends, trends in the golf industry, even the local weather can impact your business factors. Give an example. Quite a few years back, I worked at a course up in Alberta called Kananaskis Golf Course, 2 18-hole Robert Trent Jones courses designed in the valley, the Kananaskis Valley. One year, there was a really big flood, spring runoff, everything coming down from the mountains. The dams broke and flooded the banks, wiped out both golf courses. Disaster. Took 2 years to raise the funding again, and another 2 years to rebuild them. Big impact to that business. It was one of the most beautiful golf courses and picturesque in the whole of Alberta. Weather can make an impact. So when you got your assumptions, you looked at your assumptions, how they're impacted by internal and external. You got to validate them. You can run some different scenarios and evaluate the numbers. Do a sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis is a kind of a case study. What if the best case scenario? What is the worst case scenario? Might be something on the exam. Might be something you want to make sure you know the definition of. Sensitivity analysis. Analysis based on the best and worst case scenario when writing your budgets. Then creating the budget. Pages 84 and 85, we're going to forecast revenue and expenses over a 12-month fiscal period. You want to consider the seasons, when school is in and out, holidays, months where they occur. For those of you who might be attached to a hotel or a hotel close by, conference season, mid-January to May. Conference season also runs about mid-September to November. And then also, around Christmas time, you got your Christmas parties. How is your budget going to fluctuate by what percent each month? In the summer holidays, if you're a private course, maybe your rounds are going to go down a bit. Public course, summer, a lot of visitors, rounds are going up. So for discussion, you want to really look at when you're writing your budget, the expenses, are they fixed or variable? Fixed, rent, utilities, salaries, insurance. These things are fixed. No matter what level of the business operation, you're going to pay rent, or you're going to pay mortgage, you're going to pay utilities, you're going to pay, the garbage collection, you got to pay salaries of your salaried employees, and you got to pay insurance. Variable are variable as the business level varies. Business levels are up, variable expenses are up. Probably your labor is going to be up. Your sales and marketing, your cost of goods sold is going to be up because you need more resources to pay for this extra business, right? Business is down, variable expenses go down. Fixed, still going to stay the same. You're making no money or you're making top money, you still got to pay rent, you still got to pay salaries. How will you determine your expenses? As fixed amounts or a percentage of gross revenue? So when you're determining on your budget, I want to make this amount this year, is you're going to pick, we need to make, 1.2 million, like a profit, or we want to make 18% of, the total revenues, or you want to make 18% after, expenses have been pulled up. So you can either do that, determine it as a fixed amount and treat it as an expense. We're going to make this much, so it's going to cost us, or we just want to make this percent of the revenue that's coming in this year. Cash flow budget. So what is it? Why is it important? Do you have enough money at the end of the month to pay the bills? Not everyone's paying with cash. I can tell you right now, a lot of the courses I work for, which is JC Resorts, we don't take cash. So do we have enough cash in at the end of the month, or is there enough reserve? Are these credit card transactions getting turned over quick enough to pay all the bills? A difference from a monthly budget is how much cash the business will have in the bank at the end of the month. Monthly budget contains all the sources of revenue, including credit. But if you have the 28th, 29th, 30th of the month, chances are those transactions aren't going to be, the money isn't going to come in probably till another week or two. So you got to remember cash is important, because you got to have cash because you got to pay the bills. No cash, can't pay the bills. Some of the options for establishing a line of credit can assist in some of the slower months for cash shortfalls. CapEx. I'm going to get through some of this stuff a little quicker here. Is just CapEx and OpEx. CapEx expenditures, capital expenditures. Think of them as major expenses that hit the balance sheet. They can be depreciated. Tractors, building, new greens, new equipment for the kitchen, new equipment for the maintenance team. Something that goes on the balance sheet, and each year it can be depreciated. OpEx expenditures get you through the day-to-day business. I don't know, we need a new steamer to steam the shirts. That's OpEx. We need a new ball machine down at the driving range. CapEx. So we have the review. So we determine annual budgets based on goals, forecast monthly revenues and expenses based on internal and external factors. Run sensitivity tests. What's the best and worst case scenarios? If we had this many or this many, or we made this much or we didn't make this much. Determine a realistic forecast for each month. Look at the factors that are going to impact each month. Vacations, conferences, holidays. Look at really all the items over the course of a year that can influence the influx of business that comes to your facility. And let's see here. We get to 4A. 5, 2. There we are. 4 assumptions. And so we get into assumptions, and this one is pretty straightforward. It's the because and why, right? So player development revenue will increase by $12,000 in year 6. Why? Because the new player development program will be implemented. So for yourself, you'll see this carries through from level 3. You got to justify how you're going to make this money, or are you going to lose money? Budgets aren't always we're making. You might say, okay, our cost of goods sold is going to increase by 5%, and we're going to decrease this much by revenue. As long as you can justify that, that's okay. That's okay in the budget. But don't go saying you're going to make money on the budget and say how you're going to do it. But then if you don't make money, that's not good. You don't want that. And so you can see there basically it's the because and the why. Because and the why. And so whatever items you picked as your core items, how you're going to drive more revenue in your facility, you're going to incorporate them into here, and you're going to say why. Okay? And a lot of these, once again, they're smart. Increase 10% in year 6. And because there's going to be an increase in members, implement best practices. That was merchandise revenue, by the way. And so long as you can justify what's going to happen in the budget, that's okay, whether that's an increase or decrease. And this one is probably the least robust out of all the assignments. And then which gets us into the nitty gritty, which is this guy here. Let me see if I'll stretch this out here. So this is the Let me see if I can make it a little bigger because partially I'm blind as well. View. Let's get the increase here. Sorry, bear with me for a second here. There we go. There we are, 150%. Now we're cooking with fire. So you're going to see when you're writing your budget here, comes back to your assignment 1, 2, and 3. You're going to look at your increases or decreases in revenue according to your vertical or horizontal analysis, or vertical, your trend analysis. You can see the different changes based on the different years, and these are from your budget that's in the case study. And you'll see a numerical change. A lot of these populate by themselves and that. And here's the key here. This is the revised forecast. So the trend might be that you're increasing or decreasing. But there's some cases here where I actually took the step of saying the trend for men's rounds would have been increasing to 16,451. But you know what? My budget was, I was going to decrease that by 4.1% because I was looking to drive more women's and junior rounds, because I knew that the equity memberships were going to increase, because that was my goal, to increase them. And I already knew that I had a majority of male players in the club. Now, some things I decided I wanted to increase, like weekday rounds were going to increase, but weekend went down. Long as I justify that in my number 4 assignment, long as I justify why it went down, there's no problem with having to forecast it this way. Big places where I did increase were the tournament fees. I wanted to make more money. This is part of, once again, it was part of the objectives, part of the annual strategy and goals. And this is places where I wanted to increase. Now, I'm not going to go through every number here, but if you want to, after the call, like at the end of the presentation, I share my information. There were some other students before that I went through it with. More than happy to go through this with you if you're unfamiliar with writing budgets, or some of you might be very familiar with writing budgets. More than happy to go through it with you. But at the end of the day, you can see at this bottom number here, here was my number based on the trend analysis. If you do all the numbers, I was forecasted to actually lose money compared to the previous year based on the trend analysis. But if you look at right here, I actually forecasted I'm going to make money. I'm going to increase this, right? So at the end of the day, it's up and down along the sheet itself, but I'm telling my shareholders we're going to make money at the end of the day. Not a lot, it's only another 82,000, but at least we're making money, right? And let's see here, view. Get back to, which is going to bring us to number 5. And thank you very much for hanging on, everyone. I know this one is a bit of a beast to get through. And like I said, it's like being fed with a fire hose. And I've said this before, and I know Mr. Kula likes it. It's how do you eat an elephant? And you need to eat an elephant one bite at a time. You're not going to get this done in one day. You're not going to get it done in a week. Level 1, once you get through it, it's going to sting for a bit. And then you're going to say, you know what? It wasn't so bad after all. Because once you get into levels 2 and 3 and start specializing into the items that you want to specialize in, the workload decreases a little bit. Not drastically, but decreases a little bit. So last one, and this one is pretty straightforward, but it's monitoring performance, pages 93, 95 of your reading materials. And it's important for comparing actual numbers versus forecasted numbers. So you went through all these phases of the business planning model. Did you achieve it or not? And if you didn't, why are you not achieving it? So do you need to reforecast? Do you need to reduce your expenses? Do you need to increase revenue? Do you need to decrease labor or introduce promotions for unfilled tee times? Do you have a twilight time at your course that fills up? How are you gonna make that money that look at those areas of opportunity? You want, once again, metrics. Metrics I spoke about a few times, rounds, yield management, revenues per round. We want to, the gross profit as a percentage of sales, gross margin. That should be COGS, not GOGS. Gross margin as a percentage of sales. Funny, I've looked at this 10 times, and that's the first time I've caught that. Tools for quantitative data. You use your POS system, whoever you use, but you might use Club Profit. You might use something else. Use your sales reports, monthly, quarterly, and annual budgets. Always come back. Are you hitting the numbers? You don't have to be daily because you're going to hit your head off the wall if you start trying to make numbers daily on every single thing. So yeah, daily, do you want to hit the sales? Yeah, have a look if you're up or down. But weekly, if you're out bi-weekly, then you want to start, okay, how are we going to hit the monthly budget? But very important. How are you going to do that? Look at all those different reports you have. Spot audits, a great way to see if the business is working towards its goals. Pull out the sales receipts maybe once a week and look, okay, did we hit everything today? Did we go through did we dot our I's and cross our T's? We want to make sure that the operation is running at a maximum yield. How do you respond to an underperforming budget? You want to revisit the annual budget. Are we going to hit the numbers this year? May have to reforecast in certain areas. Those of you at clubs this year probably having record rounds, probably never thought that the year previous. Do we have the adjusted pricing structures? We have this much volume, increase in demand. Where's the sweet spot in maximizing revenue, but not putting ourselves in a position where we're going to be overpriced when the curve starts to even out a bit? How do you increase revenue through promotional activities, reduce expenses to align with decreased and increased revenue? So expenses have to be in line with the revenue. And that brings us to number 5. So I'm just going to get here and we'll just do a quick run through number 5. And this one, similar to number 4A, pretty straightforward. And it's the monitoring performance. And really, you're just looking at all of your tools you have in your toolbox to measure your key metrics. What are your primary and secondary? If I were to look at my goal was, converting those 15 social memberships. Once again, coming back to the goals in assignment 3 and assignment 2, I'm going to increase them by this much money. Here's how I'm going to do it. Here's how I'm going to monitor this. I'm going to look at quarterly annual profit and loss statement. I'll look at if the total rounds are increasing. If the total rounds aren't increasing, it's going to be tough for me to bring in that $25,200 there. Secondary, the total rounds or food and beverage revenues increasing as well. Member tournament rounds, how are we going to track it? Maybe we're going to keep a spreadsheet. We're going to have P&L statements, annual operating budget. Are we hitting the numbers each month? Are we hitting the numbers quarterly? And then, when you have your weekly probably management meeting, you're going to talk about that weekly budget. Are you on track of hitting it for the month, for the quarter? If you're not, do we have to reforecast? Do we have to look at the numbers and say, well, do we have to we realize we're not going to do this? Do we have to bring in something more realistic so we hit the numbers? Or are we going to have this aggressive marketing campaign and we're going to drive this promotion and hit the numbers? What's your tolerance? What's your quantifiable ranges? Okay, we want to hit 15 new members. Let's say they want to hit our tolerable range. We got to have at least 1 a month. Obviously, some of those months had to be 2, obviously 3, but hey, you might get 5 in 1 month. But if you can get 5 in 1 month and still continue with 1 every other month, you're gonna have 17 new members. And then corrective adjustments. A lot of these are straightforward in your case study as well. You're gonna find the different areas where you can look for opportunity when you need to evaluate, are you going to hit the numbers or not? And that is assignment 5. Once again, like I said, it's being fed with the fire hose. It's like 3 days and an hour and was it 15 minutes here. And thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm good for a little while here, or my name and number is on the bottom. I'm more than happy to connect outside of here. Um, for those of you wondering, I don't say at the beginning of the presentation, but I'm a bit of a nerd with this stuff. I do have an MBA, and so I nerd out on the budget writing process, and I love really get into the nitty and gritty of how to make money, how to save money. Um, and more than happy if you need assistance with any of your assignments, especially the budget one is a big one to chew. Please reach out or let me know. And I guess open for any questions of anyone.
Jeffrey, on behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA, thank you for a wonderful and in-depth presentation and walk through the business planning module of the professional golf management program. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this. We have been recording since you started, so this will be uploaded to the SCPGA website under the Catalyst and LaunchPad landing page. So associates will be able to access this at any time and get the tutorial on how to best navigate through that work experience kit and that module of the level 1 activity. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Tom, Colonel Tom's son, Ho Nguyen, and Justin Holsey, you guys are free to ask Jeffrey any questions that you have. We could open it up to some Q&A now. If there are no questions, we'll conclude the LaunchPad for the spring. And once again, Jeffrey, of course, many of us know who are on this that Jeffrey has done this now 3 times for the LaunchPad, and his business prowess and his aptitude is amongst the best in the business. He's done this in the golf industry. He's also done this in the food and beverage industry. For those of you that don't know, prior to becoming a golf professional, Jeffrey Brothers was an executive chef in his home country of Canada prior to coming to the United States and becoming a golf professional. Thanks a lot, Jeffrey. We really appreciate your time and expertise, and the benefit to the association is priceless. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Ho and Justin, do you have any questions for Jeffrey before we conclude the LaunchPad? Tom's son is also out there. Tom, can you hear us? I think we may have lost Tom. He went from being on the Zoom call when we started onto his phone. He sent us an email as well.
Oh, I got you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Colonel Tom, Ho Nguyen, Justin Hollisey, thank you very much for being on the LaunchPad this afternoon. And any questions or further inquiries, feel free to reach out to Jeffrey. He does a fantastic job at the crossings at Carlsbad. And once again, his presentation will be accessible through scpga.com on the LaunchPad and Catalyst landing pages. Feel free to reach out to us. We do this hand in hand with the mentorship program as well. Thanks again for supporting the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay sane. Take care, Jeffrey. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.